A wise man once said, "A plan only lasts as long as your first encounter." And this is something that happened on my Saturday game of late. Our players had to arrest or capture or kill, their discretion, Armwick. Armwick was a cultist bankroller. He funded the needs of the cultists. And because of this, he needed to go. Also needed to target the villa, what Armwick lived out of, as his mother was the head poncho, the boss, the head of the cult, the conspirer, the spider of the web, you could say. And they both had to go, as their plan was to destroy the city indirectly. So they had to deal with them both. Step 1 of this plan they had. Step 1 was to search and investigate the pub. Turns out they found out the pub was an old boat. It's been refurbished to be as a tavern. Problem was, they went to some shopping on the way, so they can prepare for the villa. And problem was, they lost the dwarf in the progress. The dwarf was a spellcaster, a wizard per se, and he went straight to the pub because he was portrayed as a drunken wizard. So he went to the pub and tried to get as much information he could about Armwick, but nobody was telling him anything. So he started interrogating them by putting a fireball to their face. And this didn't work until he got kicked out and woke up drunk upstairs. And this was how our players found him when they arrived later. This is where they entered step 1.5. Freeing Gendrick from his shackles because he was tied to the mast, and convincing the bar staff to let him back in the bar. And this wasn't too hard because he'd taken money off him as the collateral damage from the damage he did to the bar. They took around 150 gold out of trauma. I mean, that's more than the people got paid. But this is Baldur's Gate. People don't care. They'd rather rob you blind. And he got robbed blind, and he was allowed to go free. And they descended in the bar after finding Armwick. Oh boy, this is where the plan, which they planned to the highest level. This was to the textbook plan, went wrong. Of course it went wrong. There wasn't a plan. So now we got step 2. This is where they are finally having a dialogue with Armwick. The idea was to try and do a business deal, but they didn't actually fully think of the ins and outs of the business deal beforehand. So they tried to convince him to get the deal, but it did not go too well for them. In the sense of, it was just a business deal. They couldn't convince him to leave or move away from the boat because they wanted to get him to leave so they can deal with him out of the way of other patrons of the pub, which was a wise idea. Also, they wanted to be away from the Thorn Devil which watched this floor, because fighting a Thorn Devil is not a fun fight at their level. So, they tried to do something unique and smart. They used step 3. Gendrick the Wizard had a good idea. He decided to cast the spell Charm. Charm is a wonderful spell. It forces a DC check against Wisdom. If you fail, you are charmed. You become the caster's ally and friend. The idea was to convince him to do the deal, to trade. The issue was, they also wanted to kill him, so they wanted him away from the boat. But they couldn't convince him to leave to somewhere where they could deal with him on his own. So the idea was a new plan. Let's take him to a safe house, one we control. To that, they had to convince him he was in danger, which he was, by the people trying to put him into the safe house. Unfortunately, we couldn't convince him to take him to a safe house, so the The guy started to go, listen mate, you want to deal with me? I'm in danger. Come to my house. Safe at my house. You bring the money and go over to my house, we'll do a deal. Problem is, charming lasts an hour. After the spell runs off, the player is aware that they've been charmed. So they either had to deal with him within that hour, before it wears off, or a new plan is needed. Now with Armic going back to his villa after he was convinced to go to the safe house, they needed a new plan. That was step 4. Step 4 was to infiltrate the villa beforehand, putting zombies hiding in the villa to cause chaos. And that succeeded. They managed to hide zombies in the lair. And this was a good idea. So when the next step kicked in, chaos was happening, the zombies would come out and spread more chaos and more panic, so they could go through the villa. Step 5 was my own fault. I was not clear or quite understand the ability the witch had, and because I didn't understand it properly, this happened. The witch planned to put a hole in the outside villa wall, then a hole inside the villa wall, so the wizard could cast firebolt through both holes and set a room on fire, causing panic and chaos inside. When the panic and chaos happened, the zombies would attack. Issue is, some people were having their dinner in the living room as a hole appeared in the wall, and he could see straight through the hole and saw the wizard putting his hand through in a gun position, shape, to cast firebolt. The firebolt landed in the room, setting the room ablaze, but then be put out quite quickly after by the guy who was eating his dinner. But now he knew the villa had been attacked, so he alerted everyone. You're trying to cause chaos. You don't want all the guards to know that you're attacking the villa. And what direction. That's not something you want them to know. But another important part of this plan was to cause chaos. And how they planned to do this was using explosives, which they previously acquired at the armory by speaking to the quartermaster. Oh boy. This was an issue which I didn't think would happen. I knew they wanted explosives the session before, so I spec'd some explosives up. Essentially expect up a fireball and a barrel, because I knew how they planned to use it. But there's one thing I did not expect. One thing I really did not expect, and that was to get the cleric, who was wearing heavy armour, to sneak into the villa with the barrel explosives, place down and use the wizard to detonate it. They got spotted as it was climbing down the wall, because stealth checks, if you're going to sneak into the place, I will make you make a stealth check. And he was wearing heavy armour. So step 7 was to detonate the explosives, but he got caught, so instead he threw them at the enemy. But he needed to make sure that they was distracted, so he had a chance to throw the barrel. So he used precipitation to make a booming voice behind them, trying to draw them away for just a millisecond. So for intimidation check, and he failed. Guards not intimidated returned back, and they started to pursue him. So he throws the barrel. Of course, a check is needed. Nat 1 athletics. So the barrel goes in the air. It flies 10, 15 feet, spinning and twirling until it starts to free fall. It lands behind the wall. Not too bad, you think. But the wizard is sat there, waiting to climb up top and cast firebolt on the barrel, detonating it. But boy, the last thing he remembered was the barrel landing at his feet. And he took 19 damage as the firebolt ball erupted, blowing the villa wall. The cleric had to make 2 checks for the debris and the fireball. And the guards died in the flames, so he did get who wanted. But the wizard was on 10 health, and he took 19 damage. So he almost died as a result. all the other half of the party saw the witch who cast the holes in the wall, and the 7 foot tall walking plush alpha man, that's a different story, saw the explosion and thought, yes, let's attack. So he jumped over the wall. Zombies going in, and all he saw was a dwarf flying in free flight above the wall. He went 20 feet into the air from the blast to land on the tree, causing Gendrick to fail a death saving throw. And that's all he saw. Stitches and laughter pursued after this. The party could not keep it still. We was all laughing our heads off. Because how do you react to a dwarf flying through the air? We literally tossed the dwarf. But we didn't tell the elf though, of course. Now the guards knew what was going off. There was explosions, there was firebolts, and there was people in the courtyard. Nobody rolled initiative. Combat happened. The witch and the 7 foot tall plushy alpha man did their combat with the zombies and won perfectly fine. Then they rushed over to aid the cleric and the almost dead wizard. He got saved and he healed up. But Captain Guard there, mini-boss, turned up with 3 other guards and combat happened. The guards died and the Captain Guard was still standing. The Captain Guard was based on a maneuver-based fighter, so he did the maneuver of hitting multiple enemies. As long as the first hit would hit everyone, he used that number to hit everyone. Problem was, he got nat 20. So 4 people got critted as he span around with a glaive, hitting the whole enemy party. Great for the guard. Not great for the 4 nat damage they had to roll after. This is where the little plan they had, everything had an idea. If it all worked perfectly fine, it would have been an okay plan. But they completely forgot the original plan of going up and doing a deal. During this whole ordeal, Armwick was sitting in the watchtower, reading a book to hear explosions, firebolts, and commotion. He saw everything, and he went down to get payback. And he did. Combat happened. The witch, who is an evil character by alignment, took her zombie, got another zombie, and barged into the villa, pushing civilians to the side, acting in an evil manner. And the servants ran past and escaped, bombing into Almec. And they all explained what happened. Almec now knew there was no deal, and there was no plan to be a deal. This wasn't aroused to attack him. Problem is, he's at his home, with guards, and the other 2 bosses. This is going to be fun. And, combat engaged, initiatives rolled, and Almec attacked the witch. Each time she stood up, she went down 3 times in that fight. Almec did not want her surviving. And if she got the 4th time, while he was still standing, he would have executed her. Because that's how I play my NPCs. NPCs shouldn't be stupid. If they can put 2 and 2 together, they will execute in my eye. Someone keeps being revived, well, let's make sure they don't get up again. And this is where we ended. The plan which they had was little. But it worked, They managed to put all the eggs in one basket, not what they intended, but now we can deal with everybody in one fell swoop. If they're all there in the villa, no one can escape. And that's what happens. They had guards to cover all the exits, so no one could escape. Yes, the plan was to deal with him on his own originally, but the plan ended up failing and at the same time made it better for them. So you could say you could plan everything out in advance and work out every single kink. And that could work for you. But plans never last longer than the first encounter, like I said. And we managed to overcome and adapt. And we came out in a good place. Which not all people do. I've seen TPKs for simpler situations. I've seen TPKs over wall climbing and climbing up mountains. But that's because they touched the grung. Never touch grung. Not good for your health at all. So, do you have any other plans which went wow or amazingly bad? If you do, let me know in the comments. Hope you like the video. Like and subscribe, hit the bell notification if you want more. I plan to upload on Wednesdays and Fridays, depending on schedule. But until next time, I hope your game sessions are long, and the nat 20s are plenty. So yeah.